The sun barely rose over the vast savanna, casting long shadows that stretched across the dry grass. A tribe of early Homo habilis, hardened by years of survival in the wild, moved cautiously through the underbrush. They were hunters, but today their task was more dangerous. In the distance, towering over the landscape, stood a group of brilliant humanoid figures, massive in size, with thick skin and piercing eyes that gleamed in the morning light. The tribe knew these creatures well. The giants were not beasts to be hunted. They were monstrous beings from the depths of the earth itself, ancient and formidable. In the tribe's folklore, they were called the Titans, and they had been the scourge of humanity for generations. Today, the tribe would finally face them, not as prey, but as adversaries. The chief, a battle-hardened leader with a weathered face, signaled for the tribe to stop. The group crouched, eyes locked on the looming figures. These were no ordinary creatures. They moved with terrifying grace, each step shaking the ground beneath them. The tribe's breath was shallow, every hunter aware that survival depended on their ability to strike first. With a single command, the tribe sprang into action. The hunters darted forward, their stone-tipped spears raised high. They had learned the Titans' ways, and they knew that their only hope was to outmaneuver them, to strike before the giants could bring their immense strength into play. But the first Titan noticed them, its eyes narrowing. A roar like thunder echoed across the savanna as it lunged forward, swinging its massive arms with deadly force. The humans scattered, but one hunter, a skilled young man named Suri, was too close. He dove beneath the Titan's sweeping arm, narrowly avoiding death. With a swift motion, he thrust his spear into the soft spot beneath the giant's arm, and the Titan stumbled, roaring in pain. But the battle had only begun. As the tribe regrouped, a second Titan joined the fray, its massive frame blocking the hunter's escape. The ground shook as it charged, sending a hunter flying. The rest of the tribe formed a circle, each member desperately trying to protect the others. The Titans, enraged and relentless, swung their enormous fists, knocking the humans off their feet. With every step, the giants grew more furious, their roars drowning out everything else. The tribe's survival now depended not just on their strength, but on their unity. With a rallying cry, the tribe attacked together, driving their spears deep into the Titans' massive forms, each blow weakening the behemoths. The battle raged for what felt like an eternity, but as the sun began to set, the last of the Titans fell to the ground with a mighty crash, shaking the earth. The tribe, bloodied and exhausted, stood victorious. They had faced the giants of their world and survived. Their unity, their knowledge of survival, and their courage had won the day. As the giants lay defeated, the humans gathered around the fallen beasts, their expressions a mixture of exhaustion and awe. For the first time, they had stood toe-to-toe with the Titans and emerged as the victors. The tribe's mothers, who had guarded their young in the caves, now approached with tears in their eyes, proud of the warriors who had fought and survived. The struggle was over for now, but in the hearts of the tribe, the memory of this battle with the giants would endure for generations. The savanna was quiet now. The dust from the battle had settled, and all that remained was the deep, haunting silence of the world after a great struggle. The humans stood in awe, gazing at the fallen Titans, their colossal forms now motionless on the ground. The tribe had never faced such adversaries before, beasts that towered over them like gods of old. But today, they had proven that no matter how mighty the giants, the will to survive could overcome all. Suri, the young warrior, walked slowly to the body of the fallen Titan. His hands trembled as he knelt beside it, the reality of what they had just accomplished settling into his bones. He had seen the other hunters fall, their lives taken by the Titan's brutal strength. but through quick-thinking teamwork and sheer determination, they had won. He pressed his palm against the rough, thick skin of the Titan's arm, feeling the warmth that still lingered in its body. Behind him, the rest of the tribe had gathered. The mothers, their faces etched with both relief and sorrow, held their children close. Their eyes, filled with gratitude and admiration, followed their men as they returned from the battlefield. They were alive. That was all that mattered. The chief, the leader of the tribe, moved forward with the same steady pace, his eyes narrowing in deep thought. He gazed at the horizon, where the sun dipped low, casting a crimson hue over the land. The battle was over, but the dangers of this world were far from done. He knew that the giants were only one threat in a long line of challenges that would face his people. The savannah was a brutal place, and it showed no mercy. "Gather the wounded." The chief's voice rang out firm, yet tinged with weariness. His command was not just for the surviving hunters, but for the entire tribe. This was a moment to heal, to regroup, and to reflect. But it was also a time for the young ones to learn. They would have to be prepared for the next battle, the next trial that would come from the wild. "Tonight, we feast." The chief added his voice softer, now, a small smile breaking through the fatigue. "We honor those who fought." The tribe moved slowly, methodically, gathering the wounded and the fallen. The younger members, once hidden in caves, now ventured out into the open with hesitant steps, their eyes wide with wonder and fear. They had witnessed the battle, heard the roars of the Titans, and felt the earth tremble beneath their feet. It was a moment they would never forget. As the survivors made their way to a nearby river, they washed off the blood and sweat of battle, the water running red for only a short time before it cleared. There was no celebration yet, no music or dance, just a quiet understanding among the tribe. They had done what was necessary to survive. They had fought and won, but at a cost. There would be no time for pride. Survival demanded humility, and that was a lesson they all knew too well. The evening came quickly, and as the tribe gathered around the fire, the crackling flames casting dancing shadows over the land, they prepared to share their meal. The chief, with his graying hair and deep-set eyes, stood to address the group. His voice was low, but it carried across the crowd. "This victory is not mine," he said, his gaze sweeping over the faces of the tribe. "It belongs to all of you, those who fought and those who waited. It is our unity, our strength, and our will to live that carried us through." The tribe nodded, each member acknowledging the truth in the chief's words. The survivors sat in a circle, passing around pieces of meat from the fallen Titans, a rare and much-needed feast. Their faces lit by the warm glow of the fire reflected not only the triumph of survival, but also the quiet recognition of the price they had paid to achieve it. Suri sat with the others, his eyes still fixed on the fire. He couldn't shake the image of the Titans, their enormous forms crashing through the savannah, their wild, unyielding strength. But he also remembered the moment when he drove his spear into the giant's neck, when he faced death and made the choice to act. That was the moment that defined them all, the moment that turned survival into something more than instinct. It became a story of unity, of defiance, and of hope. As the night wore on, the tribe sat in silence, their voices lost in the wind. The children, now restless, played with small stones and sticks, mimicking the actions they had seen their parents perform. They had learned much that day about bravery, sacrifice, and survival. The older members of the tribe shared their knowledge in quiet whispers, passing down wisdom for the next generation. The fire crackled as the stars above shimmered, a reminder that the world was vast and unforgiving, but also full of possibilities. The next morning, the tribe rose early, preparing for the long journey ahead. The battle with the giants was over, but there was always more to be done. The chief called for the tribe to move on to seek new lands where they could hunt and gather to continue the endless cycle of survival. It was not a retreat, but a renewal, a chance to rebuild, to learn from the past and to shape the future. As they walked across the savannah, their spears in hand and the weight of their victory on their shoulders, they knew that they would face more giants, whether they came in the form of beasts, storms, or other tribes. But they had learned something vital. In the face of overwhelming odds, the tribe had stood together, their hearts bound by a common purpose to survive and to thrive. And in that, they had become something greater than themselves.